Welcome to Stream Television's Venango County Commissioner Forum, brought to you by the Franklin Oil Region Federal Credit Union, celebrating 45 years of serving our community. By Liberty Electronics, wired for your success. By Anderson Physical Therapy, stay on top of your game. By the Cranberry Mall. By Rick Bowler and Allstate Insurance. And by Claypack Auto Body, known for invisible repairs. And good evening, and welcome to Stream Television's Venango County Commissioner Forum. I am Luke Rio, moderator tonight. It's probably a very awkward opportunity for me to announce my candidacy for Venango County Commissioner. But I thank my supporters here tonight. No, I'm just joking. We're going to leave it up to the professionals, and let's give them a round of applause for attending tonight. And not only that, but to serve the public, that's pretty special for these folks. So a round of applause to all those who are up here tonight on this stage. Thank you. Before we start, just a few simple rules tonight. All candidates will have 90 seconds for an opening statement. They don't need to take 90 seconds. We do want to try to get out of here by tomorrow morning. There's going to be a total of 7 questions, and each candidate will get a question tonight to start. All candidates will have 2 minutes, and we'll have 2 minutes for a closing statement as well. Now, should any candidate be called out, and that's not what we're looking for tonight, we're looking for them to be positive and to share their great ideas. The person that does get called out, if they do, will have 30 seconds to respond. Danielle is going to be our timer tonight. Thank you. Yeah. What school do you go to? Homeschooled. Well, thanks for joining us here tonight. Now, she has 2 special cards. We worked hard on these cards. Go ahead, 30 seconds and 10 seconds, and she'll raise the 30-second card at the 30-second mark when there's 30 seconds left, and then the 10-second card. Everybody good with that? All right. Before we begin, this is a bipartisan affair tonight, so we want to bring up John Klook and Martha Breen to give a little opening address representing the Democrats and the Republicans tonight. You can applaud, they're nice people. You guys can slide over a little bit.
Absolutely. I just want to take this opportunity to thank Stream Media for hosting this event, to let all the Venango County voters get an opportunity to learn more about the 7 people who are running for County Commissioner this year.
I had a longer thing. I'll skip it for your benefit.
Okay. Yay!
Okay, but I first want to thank Luke and Nathan and Carol for putting this together and making another way the public can know, the voters can know their candidates. One of the main ways are these forums, and the voters can then go to other events where they can meet and talk to them personally more, and then ask friends and neighbors and people who have known them about, what they've known about them before. And when you put it all together, you go and vote Tuesday, May 21st, an informed candidate. And I want to also make a point about everybody remembering you have to be neighbors and friends after the election. It's a small rural community, and when the campaign's over, it's over. Election night is done. You go back to being neighbors and friends again.
Thank you, guys. So, let's begin with the opening statements, and we'll just go right down the line. Sam?
Thank you, Luke, and thank you, everyone. This is what's best about our republic, and forums like these are very, very useful to the community, so I appreciate it, and I think that the voters do too. I'm Sam Breen. I'm a lifelong resident of Venango County. I'm 36 years old, and I'm a Republican, conservative Republican, running number 4 on the ballot on the Republican ticket for Venango County Commissioner this primary. I've worked for the last 10 years, or just under 10 years, for Congressman Mike Kelly, serving Western Pennsylvania, both in Washington, D.C. in his office there, and also back here in Western Pennsylvania. I've worked with within those communities. I've worked with every level of government. I've worked with businesses and job creators from the largest to the smallest in Western Pennsylvania, and I've always done it with the interests of Western Pennsylvania in my heart. That's why I started that in that career path, and I want to take the opportunity and the experience that I've learned over these last 10 years and focus on my home, Venango County, the place that's nearest and dearest to my heart. So with that said, I hope we'll learn a lot tonight, and on May 21st, I hope I'll have the privilege of receiving your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Stream Media, for putting this on, as well as those watching today. I'm Commissioner Abramovic, current commissioner, and I also want to say thank you to the Stream, because first term in office, and real quick, one issue we tackled real quick was the opioid epidemic, and the Stream was there to broadcast that live to the Oil City residents and those they cover through their broadcast, which is a great thing and a great partnership to have for that. And we had a great turnout for that and an unbelievable success on those who watched it. So I'm Commissioner Abramovic currently, and one thing I always try to do with me is, over the past 4 years, is be truly engaged in the community, whether that be through festivals, events, nonprofits, a lot of boards I sit on, as well as growing the community within. And that is helping listen to our residents and our constituents to be able to make decisions and work with our team that we have in the Commissioner's office to bring that back and work on changing and seeing what issues we have to address as we go forward. Another thing that we did over the past 4 years is we've held the line on taxes. We haven't had a tax increase over the past 4 years. We've worked to innovate as well as look at the forward of Venango County to move us forward, as opposed to looking behind us for problems. And we're a well-working team together, Tim and I and Vince, and it's actually great to see how we can work together to move us forward, whether it be the opioid epidemic, whether it be human services issues that we're tackling straight down, whether it be the overpopulation in the county jail, and what issues we deal with to work together to make that a difference, and what outside ideas we can gain from other counties in that. Another thing that I've really done a lot with is regional partnerships and statewide partnerships. It's really pushed us, hopefully, in a different direction to get Venango County on the map to move forward.
Thank you. You can applaud.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Stream Live Media, for putting this on, and thank you, folks, for coming out this evening. My name is Joe Corelli, and I am running on the Republican ballot this year. I was born and raised in Clarion County, but for the last almost 18 years, we've lived in the Rocky Grove area. For the past 7 years, my son and I, who just turned 18, run Trey Corelli Lawn Care and Landscaping. We service pretty much most of Venango County. We don't get out into the Clintonville area or down into Rockland, but everywhere else we seem to get to. I enjoy Venango County. I've been involved in a lot of different organizations and committees over the years that I've lived here, and I really like to get out and help folks. I'm an individual that doesn't sit at home much. I've never really had a job that worked under 10 hours a day. So if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, I will be a full-time commissioner. I will dedicate 40 hours or plus, whatever it takes to do that position. So I just thank you all for being here this evening. I hope that you get some good information from tonight, and we'll see you out at different events. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Luke. Thank you, Stream. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Delaney. I am the Executive Assistant for the Franklin Area Chamber of Commerce. And I grew up in Venango County, went to Christian Life Academy, and like most of our youth, I moved away to pursue a higher education. I went to Penn State University, where I earned a bachelor's degree in Earth and Space Science, where I studied astrophysics and geology. Currently, I'm a councilman for the city of Franklin. I'm the past chairman for the Kiwanis Club. I sit on the board of directors for the Venango Museum of Art, Science, and Industry and the Oil Creek and Titusville Railroad. I'm also a member of Elks Lodge number 110 and Myrtle Lodge number 316. So I'm running for 4 basic reasons. I want to hold the line on taxes. I want to create trust and transparency between the government and its constituents. I want to create revenue-generating opportunities for Venango County by attracting new businesses that'll bring in new money, because governments don't create jobs, businesses create jobs. And lastly, I want to work with business owners and local entities to help train a viable working force. At the Chamber, I hear about the struggles that our businesses face every day, among them being the ability to find trained workers and reliable workers. I believe Venango County is ready for a new generation to step up and lead. I have the energy, the experience, and the honesty that's so needed in our governments. If you guys give me 4 years, I will work for the common good of Venango County without compromising our personal liberties. I hope to have your vote on May 21st. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Stream, for giving us this opportunity. My name's Darrell Carnes. I am running on the Republican ticket for County Commissioner. I own William R. Carnes Plumbing and Heating. I've been involved with that business for 37 years. I've been in the ownership part of it for 25 years. I'm excited to offer my business experience for the county, and I really truly think that a good business experience will be good for a county commissioner, because not only do I do the work, I do my book work, I know budgets, plus the opportunity, I get to bid on a lot of jobs, and you know, when we bid jobs out for the county, I know a lot of the contractors, I know maybe who not to go with, what we're looking for in quality work. I believe I can truly help the county with my experience. I look to work full-time as a commissioner and get my dedication for the people of Venango County. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Bonnie Summers. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm glad to be in beautiful downtown Oil City tonight, and I want to thank the Stream for putting this together and letting the community get to know us as candidates. I'm a former county commissioner from 2012 to 2016. I was a human service administrator for 30+ years. After I had left office, I continued to work for Venango County and for our community on various numbers of boards, the Cranberry Economic Development Board, the Venango County Economic Authority. I'm chair of the Land Bank. I'm involved in nonprofits, Sugar Valley Lodge, and I'm also a member of the Overdose Prevention Task Force, along with many other fundraising activities that I've enjoyed in providing. I continued to be engaged because I believe in Venango County. I believe it's a great place to work, to live, and to become educated for our children. I want to make sure that we have the opportunities for our children, that we can work together to provide solutions to some of the problems that we face today. The background that I have in government as well as working in the community, I think will provide me with the opportunity of being a county commissioner to move Venango forward. I'm ready to get back into office and to do the things that need to be done for you. Thank you.
I'm Tim Brooks. Excuse me, I'd like to thank Stream Media also for putting this forum on this evening, asking me to be part of it. I've been county commissioner for 11+ years now. I've been chairman of the board for that whole entire time. I live in Cherry Tree with my wife and my family, and I have a pediatric physician practice that I work at also. Thank you.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll start with Dr. Brooks and work our way down. What are the top 3 challenges facing Venango County?
One is everybody's speaking about taxes, which is true. I mean, one thing is holding the line on taxes. When our mandates continue to increase, whenever our costs continue to go up, we've done a good job at that, as Chip has said, over the last several years. But the time is coming where we are inevitably going to have to raise taxes. So that's a difficult thing, trying to cut expenses while providing the services that we are required to provide for the county. Another going with that is the jail, the overpopulation of the jail, having to send people out to Butler, and that's going to continue for a time now, and that's going to be another challenge with what we're doing. The other challenge is finding employees for the county, as the people here have difficult finding employees at their jobs, at their businesses. So we have difficulty doing that also, especially at what we pay the county employees and the services that we have to provide for what they are required to do for us. It's very difficult to find employees that can work for those prices, what we can pay them. So I think those are the three top things: are holding the line on taxes, the jail overcrowding, and then finding employees to actually work for the county and paying them a livable wage as we should.
All right. Thank you.
I believe the top three issues that Venango County is facing include the dwindling population that our county has been experiencing. I think that everybody has probably read in the paper that for the past, from the past census, we have been reduced our population by 7%. And that means that not only are there houses here that are not being filled, that may have blight, that are causing our neighborhoods to be unsafe, but also we don't have the people, as Tim has identified, we don't have the employees for the positions that are now available. The issues regarding workforce training needs to be addressed. There are people that need jobs that may not be trained in what is the employers that actually need, the businesses that need them. We need to do more with the training. There are workforce investment funds out there that need to be brought into the county, that there's training programs, that there's the Venango campus is willing to put together. There's things that can be done, and I think we just need to work together to address that issue. The other number one issue that I see, or one of the number one issues that I see, are the drug problems that we have in the county. I know across the country we're not any different than any other area because it is an issue facing our country. What is alarming, though, is that Pennsylvania is number 3 in the overdoses in the country, and that's what is extremely alarming to me, that this beautiful state, this wonderful county, has such a high increase of drug overdoses. There has to be a way, and my background is in drug and alcohol. I continue to work with those in the system to make sure that we provide the services that are necessary and take a look at the prevention for the children that are facing some of those issues today. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe the most important thing is the lack of workforce that we have in Venango County. As a businessman, I've talked to other guys that are in my business, and you just can't find anybody that wants to work or anybody that has the ability to work. There's just, the training is not there, the work ethic is not there, and our young kids, and I think we really need to work with the schools. VOTEC, I was really happy to see VOTEC opened a new class in HVAC, which is in my line of work, which maybe gives us an opportunity to find good kids. That's got to be the number one issue in my mind. Holding the line on taxes, as Tim said, we have an aging population, a lot of people that are on fixed income, and they just, when you see tax sales and everything in the paper, it's a scary thing for these people that are on fixed income. And when you have other, like school districts and other municipalities that tack onto their property taxes, it's tough for people to make ends meet. And the third is definitely the drug problem, because there was one business owner I talked to, he posted an opening in the paper. He had 35 applicants, 33 of them failed the drug test. And that's the truth about our area. Those are the things that are important to me. Thank you.
Kind of echo what's been said already. I think the declining population is a big issue with that just coming out, 7%. That means a shrinking tax base, which means it's going to be harder for us to start keeping up with the infrastructure, to start taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. We need to try and figure out a way to get through this. We need to have some more communication between the municipalities, see what we can do to work together to try and attract these new people in. And of course, then a workforce problem. We have, last I knew, there were around 800 vacant jobs in the county, but the people don't have the skills, as been said, necessary to fill them. So we need to start working. There's workforce development boards around here. We need to start working closer together. We need to find some way that we can start training these people, some way we can get the businesses to help us train these people, to find out what they need, what it'll take to fill those jobs. And lastly, the drug problem is a huge problem in this area. You know, with our jail being overcrowded, most of them are due to drugs. We have an 80% recidivism rate. We need to start treating these people. You know, if we start treating these people, get them off the drugs, we can turn them into productive members of society that can help take care of the workforce problem. So those are the three issues.
I guess it's going to sound like an echoing tunnel. There is a lot of issues in Venango County, but I would have to say the top three in my mind. One, I'd like to start off with the economic development. You know, my dad for 30 years drove 45 minutes to work one way. So I know that if we can capitalize and capture some good companies to come in here, people will drive to the area for those jobs. Yes, we have had a population problem, you know, starting to diminish, but just 2 months ago I had a family move in right down the road from me from Sandy Lake, so not too far away, but into our county from another county. So people are still moving in the area, but we also got to look at the fact of how many businesses closed down in the last few years too, and a lot of people moved from the area. So you know, in order to repopulate that, we have to give them a reason to move here. Education and training. I spoke about this before. I feel that we need to work with the VOTEC and maybe other schools or companies that are willing to come up with some kind of a certificate program for these individuals that can go right into the workforce, adults even, not even just students, but adults. So they have the training when they go to apply for these jobs, whether it be at you know, Shaw Industries or some other business that might be in the area that needs some kind of a training. And then lastly, the drug problem is a huge problem in this area, and it continues to grow. You know, there's abandoned houses all through our county that we have people just sleeping in and shooting up in. So I mean, we need to do something with these houses that are sitting empty, whether we level them so they don't have a place to go in and you know, rest and shoot up and deal drugs or whatever. But those, I would have to say, would be my three top concerns.
So my three top concerns are workforce, obviously, declining population, as well as there's one piece that's missing. It's a county vision. It's a county vision and it's a regional vision. So what we all discussed, every candidate here, that's not unique to Venango County, to Mercer County, to Clarion County, to Forest County, to Butler County. I can name all 67 counties who are dealing with the same problem. But what we need to do is think bigger, think larger, and not create our own wheels, and work with those around us to create a Northwest Pennsylvania vision, and a vision to move us forward and move us ahead in a different direction. Because we can work on our own silos. We're working on blight with the land bank. We're tearing down houses. Oil City's on a fast track to tearing a lot down. We're on the front end on the opioid epidemic, which is actually on the downhill turn, and meth isn't an increase. We're doing a reentry program. The judge has a problem-solving court in the jail to slowly work. It'll be a 5, 10-year, 15-year plan on the recidivism rates. Those are being dealt with locally. But what are we doing as a region? And Venango County will be left in the back end if we don't have a Northwest Pennsylvania or a Western Pennsylvania region to move us forward. I come back to this from the past. Allegheny County went through a transition from the 70s and 80s when everyone left and all the industry left. They've turned around. We need to partner, we need to grow, we need to expand into the robotics and everything else, and that's where our kids will get our education to move forward for 21st century jobs. Instead of teaching kids jobs that won't exist in the future, let's teach them jobs that will exist that don't exist currently. And that's how we can get out of this and move us forward and have people realize what we have here. You know, stand on top of the rooftop screaming, Venango County's here, because we're no different than Mercer. What's bringing someone to Venango or Mercer? We have to be out front telling them to come here. And if we're sitting at home doing nothing, that'll never happen. So I guess the biggest issue that comes into all of it is a vision for the future that's a consolidated vision of the community out of the county to make us go forward and align us as a region in the nation as opposed to just an island in the middle of the sea.
I'm going to say basically what everyone else has been saying. It's 1, job retention and job creation, 2, the decline in population, and 3, making sure that people are trained for the jobs that we have here. Now, these are all tied together because without growth, if we aren't focusing on trying to grow or at least stem the decline in population, we can't address any of the other problems that we've talked about around here. And while we've all agreed on what the problems are, the reason I'm running is because I think I'm particularly suited to address some of these problems. The only way that I know that you will get nothing done is by doing nothing, and I think we've done a very good job. We've done a very good job on, our commissioners have done a good job on the fiscal side of things for our county, making sure that the budget's balanced as much as it can be without raising taxes. But we also need someone to be proactive that knows, that can go out, hit the ground running, talk to businesses, has done it before, has kept businesses in some of the counties. It's unfortunate, yes, all of Western Pennsylvania is declining in population, but if you looked at those numbers, Venango County is one of the top among that. That should make us realize something. We're in competition with every other county around us. All right, we're in competition with and that's at the national level economically for growth, competition with the world and trade. We're at our state level. Pennsylvania's in competition with other states around us, and at the county level, we're definitely in competition with the other counties around us. So we have to be doing everything we can to make it appealing for people to come here and for people to stay here. We have a lot of people that drive down to Pittsburgh for jobs and come back here. They definitely would rather work closer to home. So we have to do what we can to make sure that that's possible.
And we will touch upon some of these things that you brought up as we go. But Bonnie, we'll bring the second question to you. Nobody wants their taxes raised, but nobody wants their services cut either. So where's that fine balance? What do you cut? Do you have to raise? What ideas would you bring to county government?
Well, I've been in office before, and I've faced this issue many times before as with Vince and Tim. And we had to look at, first you have to look at the unfunded mandates. There's certain things that are required that you have to provide as a county that are required by the state or the federal government in order to receive the funds that you receive. Then there are services that have to be provided for the safety of the community. You have to look at those services and make sure that the community is safe. That is probably one of the number one issues that you need to address. It's a hard task to take a look at any issue that would raise taxes, because I myself know as and I hate to say senior because I won't say that, as a person who has been around for quite a while, I know it's very difficult to live on a fixed income and to live not knowing if your taxes are going to be increased from year to year. I would try my very best not to increase taxes, and I would take a look at services that could be done in a different manner. I know that we've worked before in many projects working with the private companies, with some of the nonprofits, and try to do more of the integration and partnering so that maybe there's a mix of funding that can be done rather than all taxes. There were different projects that we could do in the past that ended up maybe being funded a little bit differently. Bottom line is I would do everything I could not to raise those taxes. I would review that budget just like I review my own home budget, knowing that there's a bottom line here. There's things that you have to provide, and there's only so much money you have to provide for it. But in reality, I would do whatever I can not to raise. And just try to look at it in that manner is what I would do. Thank you.
Oh, I definitely echo what Bonnie says. Basically, that we are mandated by the state and the federal government on a lot of things in our budget that we can't touch. We have to do it. We would look at the areas where we do have control of. I realize this year the commissioners went back to the department heads and asked them to look over their own budgets and see if they can cut up to 10% to avoid a tax increase. But we just have to look into those services that, you know, the ones that are important, we need to keep. And if it, you know, you hate to raise taxes, if it comes to that, well, then hopefully we don't have to raise them too much. But definitely, you know, go through the budget with a fine-tooth comb and try to cut what we can to avoid any kind of a tax increase.
Well, like I said, I don't want to increase the taxes either. I want to hold the line on them. With the City Council, City of Franklin, we have to do this every year. So we have to go through the budget. We have to move things around to make it work. We haven't raised taxes since I've been there for the last 2, going on 3 years now. I think one of the ways that we did it at the city to make sure that we didn't have to raise taxes was to implement a second-tier pay scale for all new hires afterwards. The last thing that we're going to want to do is cut people's salaries. We don't want to cut jobs. As I said before, there's mandated programs. I think looking at the health care to see if there's any savings we can make with that, maybe implementing a new health care, if we can cut costs on the monthly payouts. Yeah, that's about all I have with that.
Good. Thank you.
Well, I've been involved in business overall for about 20 years now. And I sat on a committee, or ran a group at the one church I went to, and we had to do a budget every year. And there was times where they come back to us and we had to find ways to reduce what we thought we were going to need for the following year. And the same goes for the business I'm running now. Unfortunately, there's times in a business where you got to look at all the programs you have. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that are mandated, but they're the ones that are laid out there on the table. Are they performing the way that they should be? Are they generating what needs to be generated from them? You know, so do I say we cut programs? I don't say we cut programs, but maybe there's a way we can run them more efficiently, or see if there's some kind of grants out there that might be able to be utilized. But in all reality, you know, we don't want to raise taxes, but at some point I think it's inevitable. But I'm not for raising taxes. That's not my platform. But I would definitely look at the budget in different ways with different groups of people to see if there would be ways that we could work through the issues at hand.
Thank you.
So it's a fine balance between where we stand and where we are. And last year, we looked somewhat in-depth, but pretty in-depth on the budget because it was a tight year. And that had a couple things to do with state mandates that were unexpected, a couple other things, the jail overpopulation with Butler County and outside housing. But there's things when you're against the wall on raising taxes where you have a chance to step back and look outside the box. Sometimes the way it is isn't the way it always should be. So maybe there's more, I don't want to use the word creative, but creative solutions to everyday problems. You know, is there an opportunity that pretty much all of the jail is paid out of general fund dollars? Is there a way of figuring a way that we can get more state money and lobby to the state about criminal justice, and how do we get more into the criminal justice? Is there a way we can create a program or talk to AOPC or something on that to help offset some of those costs? Or where can we go as a county commissioners organization across the state on different funding streams to help us in different manners to help kick that can a little bit further down the road? And then when the day does happen to come for a tax increase, it's used for the most beneficial reason that it can be, with a justifiable reason, as opposed to just raising taxes because we can, because there's a balance. And you have to figure out that balance and go back to being against that wall makes you start to think differently than you do when you don't have to worry about money issues.
In my life, before I started working for Congressman Mike Kelly, I was involved in my family businesses. There are two manufacturing companies that employed about 100 people. And every year we'd have to sit down and look at the budget and to look at what we were bringing in that year, what we were projecting to bring in the next year. And I specifically had to work on health insurance and dealing with rising healthcare costs every year. There are some things that are absolutely out of the commissioner's control, but we have, and I think that they've actually done a very good job of looking at the things that are within their control. But at a certain point, there is only, if you're only looking at things to cut, eventually you hit a wall and you do have to raise taxes. There has to be another side of the coin, which is always thinking about what is your return on investment of the dollars you're spending, what are they going to be, and where can we bring in some more money? How can you create growth in the area? How can you stem the tide of the loss of population that we've had? And that has to be a part of everything, that every decision, the thinking on every decision that the commissioner makes. One, fiscal stewardship. Two, how can we create economic growth in the area? How can we long-term make sure that this doesn't just keep happening? So we do always have to be raising taxes.
And our next question is about economic development. But
That's okay.
oh, Tim, yes.
No,
I was so excited. Sorry, sir.
I forget the question. Could you repeat the question?
Would you like to?
Please?
Yes. The question was, nobody wants to raise taxes, but nobody wants their services cut as well. So where's that balance?
Obviously, nobody wants to raise taxes. We all agree with that. We have balanced it already. I mean, between the services we provide and the income we have coming in. Government isn't business. And as much as we like to run it as a business, and we say that, that's a nice thing to say, but government's main motivation is providing services and helping people. Business's main motivation is making a profit. The county, the government can't make a profit. The only way we have revenue besides what we receive from the state and federal government and the grants that we do find and get is through taxes on property, on real property. Bringing more people in is a good idea and it's nice, but it doesn't produce real property necessarily. We've raised taxes once the last 12 years I've been here. The costs keep going up. Our healthcare costs, we have actually reduced our healthcare costs, and we've gotten reductions in those payments. So, you know, those are good ideas, but we have done those things, and we have done everything that is possible to get to where we are now and not have raised taxes in the last, well, almost 12 years, once in 12 years. The last 4 years, we've been running a deficit, what we bring in versus what we put out, over $1 million, and we've used up our reserves. And we've looked at everything we can. So although nobody wants to raise taxes, and I understand that, and I don't want to either, it comes a time when there are no more services to cut. There are no more revenue sources to find. And the revenue sources we have, unfortunately, are raising taxes. And it's other people's money, I understand that. And we're entrusted with that, and some of that's my money. And we don't all appreciate what we do with the money. I mean, there are programs that I have to fund and I have to agree to and utilize that I may not agree with, but it has to be done. It's mandated. So there comes a point where we will have to raise taxes. It's just inevitable. So thank you.
Thank you. Before we continue on, and we have about 14 more hours to go, so just hang in there. We want to thank Franklin Oil Region Federal Credit Union and Liberty Electronics, just a couple of our sponsors allowing us to do this tonight. Daryl, the question is for you. What is the county's role in economic development, and what ideas do you have to keep, attract business and talent here in Venango County?
Well, the biggest thing is, like I said in my opening statement, is getting a workforce. You're not going to get industry to want to relocate here if they don't have a work pool to choose from. And we need to, like I said, work with the schools, different organizations to try to teach a work ethic to kids, training. I know, like when I was younger, many years ago, they always encouraged everybody to go to college. You need that college education. And now we don't have people to do industry jobs, plumbers. It's hard to find a plumber. It's hard for me to find somebody to hire. And if you don't have that work pool to pick from, you're not going to get industries to come here and open. If they're looking for 150 employees, they're not going to find them here, and we got to work on that. Okay, thanks.
I think the county's role in economic development is to be a partner. We have several different agencies in the area that are working towards this. We have both the Venango Area Chamber and the Franklin Area Chamber of Commerce working towards this goal. We have the Oil Region Alliance. We have the newly formed Venango County Economic Development Authority. These groups are all trying to work on this issue, trying to solve it. So I think the county needs to be a partner with this. One of the things that the county can offer to a new business coming in are tax abatements. Again, going back to my experience with the city of Franklin, I know we're not opposed to giving new businesses tax abatements, giving them breaks on their property taxes when they come in. Between the county, the municipality, and the school district, if we can work together to give them some sort of break, 5 years, we'll maybe make a more attractive offer to them. So.
Thank you.
Like Mike said, there's a lot of different organizations working together. It's not the commissioner's job as an independent group of three to do the economic development. It's to work along, sit on the boards that do work with this. And I think that their role is to continue to be active in that, to continue to seek out companies that might have an interest in relocating or growing or putting a a hub business, in a different area. But it's not the commissioner's job solely to do that. It's just to be working as a group together amongst the other boards that operate with that.
Thank you.
County side is another tool in the tool belt of economic development, whether it be the Best Things partnerships with the rest, or another entity in the room to talk with them, to help them to pass on Venango County's voice, Venango County's vision, Venango County's mission. And for the growth side of it, it's a twofold. One, we have 25 miles from Franklin, 950 jobs available. Where are those jobs to fill up for economic growth? The second thing is a lot of those are homegrown businesses who are expanding and growing with the current economy to do it, but we have no back-end filler. One is, it's a couple-part system. One, we got to get our youth sustaining to understand what jobs are available and there are opportunities here for the future, and how do we connect them with industry so when they leave and go to college, or when they leave and go somewhere for 10, 15 years like I did, they decide to come back. The second thing is, how do we get those businesses or the homegrown talent appreciated and let them know we care? So they're not looking elsewhere, because out of the 35 or 3,600 counties in America, we're no different than the rest of it. And going back to what I said before, we're no different. We are the same as everybody. What makes us as attractive in Venango as some county in Mississippi? What makes us attractive here? It's us being in the forefront. It's us being stewards of our community, shouting from the rooftops why Venango County is the best it is, and giving them the opportunities to come here to see. And it goes back to that regional vision. It goes back to the county vision. How do we let people know what we're doing? How do we let people know Venango County is great? How do we let people know you want to come here? It's really not happening. I mean, it's happening in small circles, but there's so many people, when I tell them where I'm from, oh, you're halfway between Pittsburgh and Erie. Great. They don't know anything else. So how do we get that voice out there? How do we get that mission? How do we tell them we're working for them? And how do we tell them we can grow?
Thank you.
Well, we have to make it easy to do business in Venango County, and you also have to hustle. Honestly, there are a lot of things that we have in Venango County that are much better than the counties around us, and we're not selling it. We have the same exact, we're the same exact distance from 79 and all the major logistical corridors as Mercer County is, and they're constantly pitching to companies to come in. I've worked with the commissioners in different counties, and I've seen when they're working together for a common goal and working towards this stuff with every level of government and with every employer around, they do get things done. And it's a numbers game. Yeah, maybe they're talking to 400 different companies around, but if they get 9 of them to come in, that's a good deal. On top of that, you have to make sure that you have to be proactive about making sure companies don't leave. You're not going to keep every company from leaving. Some things are out of your control. But I'll tell you a story of a perfect example of how this worked out that I was involved in once. In I think 2011, I was working for Congressman Mike Kelly, and we heard, just like everyone else, in a newspaper article that Lord Corporation was thinking about moving out of Erie County completely down to North Carolina. Their CEO had one foot out the door. We didn't wait for anyone to talk to us about whether we could talk to him. I set up a phone call between Congressman Kelly and the CEO of Lord and said, listen, what can we do to keep you here? Give us a shot. Just tell us if there's something we can do. And he said, well, you know what, we're probably going to leave, but then what we were able to do, because we had good relationships, and it was across the aisle. Mike Kelly, a Republican, was able to work with the county executive, who was a Democrat, who was able to then work with the townships, and each of us had a different connection to somehow get everyone together, put a package together that caused Lord to end up staying. And guess what? Lord isn't in North Carolina. They built a $150 million new property facility in Erie County, and have 400 jobs in Segertown at their factory and another almost 1,000 in Erie.
Thank you.
The government's role in economic development is producing the environment for businesses to come here, to stay here, to expand here. We've done it over the years. We have provided infrastructure with fiber optic lines. We have given the tax abatements that they've talked about doing. We've done that. We formed the new Economic Development Authority, who has been tasked with going out to the businesses and retaining them and helping them to grow and to find. We are the fiscal agent for the Workforce Development Board. Therefore, we have the means of understanding what grant money is available, how that grant money can be used, and how it would fit into the difficulties we're having here with developing the workforce and getting people to come here. We're working with the Venango Chamber on their Be Here initiative to find a pool of people who have lived here, moved away for jobs, are willing to come back here, what type of jobs they'd be willing to do, what type of pay they'd be willing to work for. So we have that information available. So when a company comes here, wants to hire 50 people and they can't find them, we give them a pool of people that they can choose from and try to get those people to come here and work for them. So our job as county commissioners, as a government, is to produce to make the environment here conducive for businesses that want to come here and to expand here and to stay here. And like everyone else has said, we need to be able to get that message out to everyone. And we're trying to do that now with the new authority, with partnering with other companies who are regional and nationwide to make that happen.
I'm involved in the Cranberry Economic Development Committee, as well as the County Economic Authority. And economic development is a tough job to do. What I've learned is that businesses need to be heard. They want to come to the table. They want to know that those in government are listening to them, that they want to know that they are a partner in this. And I think the most important thing that the county can do is to be the leader, to have that vision, to work together with the businesses on a regular basis to those that are in the county to make sure that they have what they need or that they can work together to get what they need. Again, what's come up, of course, is the workforce training and so on that's needed. That's one thing that the county really needs to address, and we are addressing it through the authority. There's some things that are being done, and there's more that can be done. There is a need for a lot of energy. Energy has to be taken into the economic development. You have to be able to hustle and make sure it's done. The partnerships have to be out there. There has to be a trust and a creativity to those stakeholder meetings to those that are done throughout the county so that the businesses know that you're trustworthy, as well as that there is a feelers that can go out to make sure to bring business into the area. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and there's a lot of people that are involved in that, and so there has to be a real integrity of working together in order to make that happen.
All right, Michael. We talked about the opioid crisis a little bit, but what's a practical way for the county to address this crisis?
Well, as I said earlier, we need to start treating these people. It costs us, on average, somewhere around $15,000 a year to jail these people, where drug treatment for the year can cost anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000. So it's cheaper with an 80% recidivism rate. If we take them out, if we get them off of the drugs, if we can rehab them for a little bit extra cost now, we save the county extra money down the road. That's probably the first thing we can do. I think another thing that we need to do is look at some of the neighboring counties that have started these drug task forces with the police. I know Clarion County has started something similar, and they've seen a decline in their drug use over there. So we need to give our law enforcement a little more teeth to go after these guys, but once we have them, we need to start treating them, making them productive members of society again. So,
thank you.
I think Mike hit the nail on the head there. You definitely have to start out. I think you got to be proactive with it. Well, I don't know how proactive you can be, but you have to be ahead of the game. So you have to be able to utilize the law enforcement more than what we're doing, but that's not really at our discretion. But I do feel that they need to be able to have the ability to go into the houses. Here's what I'm seeing. In my neighborhood, there's two houses that are dealing pills. And what we can do is we can get the license plate number, and we can get the car type, and we can give it to the police department. Now, a lot of times they might already have an investigation going on, or maybe they have to go above them to get the investigation going. But it's definitely something that has to be, we have to get them before they get too far out into the community. But then once they are in jail, I think we do have to find a way to get them the help that they need, so they can be people that can work in the workforce.
So the easiest and simple answer is awareness. And I think I was the first commissioner, one of the first commissioners in the state to come out publicly against the opioid epidemic. Now it's a substance abuse disorder. And that was a big thing because it was bringing awareness to an issue that is normally swept under the rug. And I'm the type of person that if there's an issue, we shouldn't sweep it under the rug and say there's not a problem here. Let's bring it out and let people know. Let's get people talking about it. Let's people addressing it in their communities. The other side of it is a lot of it has to do with mental illness. And the mental illness component is a big piece of the opioid epidemic and everything else, whatever it may be. And how do we get that changed? And how do we get that mental illness component tied to that to get these individuals fixed and out of the jails and out of that spiral downhill system? And to the awareness part, we've had Senator Casey in the Corn Planter Square building with our local municipalities, police, as well as our leaders in this entity and the side of it, in that building talking about it. We also had Senator Toomey, as well as the U.S. District Attorney Scott Brady in Franklin with our local police chiefs talking about the issues. So that's current, but future, we always need to be proactive in what is next. And currently it's switched, and now it's meth. And it's pure meth coming from Mexico, pure meth coming through. It's people at home making them in 20-ounce pop bottles. And how do we address that? How are we aware? How do we know where to go? And once meth's done, what's next? So how can we be a step ahead of the game? Because it's basic finance and basic economies. Right now, heroin's expensive, or it's not expensive, it's cheap, but heroin's getting pressure from the state and pressure from our local municipalities. Meth slides in the back now. Now, 2-3 years from now, we'll be talking about meth, and it'll be a mainstream conversation across America. How do we figure out what's coming up next? And how do we jump ahead of that? So it's an awareness side, it's staying ahead of the game, and it's bringing issues back.
I think that actually the opioid epidemic has crested, thankfully. We do have an issue now with meth. I think the county has actually done a very good job and is continuing to do a good job doing what they can on that. And also, I know at the federal level, there's been a ton of resources over the last 5 years to address the problem, and at the state level. I think to what you said, Chip, yes, it was opioids, then it's meth, and then what's next and what's next. What it comes down to is keeping people off drugs, and why do we have a drug problem in the first place, more so in this area than other places? Why is it that there were so many more deaths in a tiny county in western Pennsylvania than there were in the city of Manhattan, all right, with a population of almost, in the millions? Well, the reason for that is because, again, it comes back to the economy. When people have jobs, they have a sense of hope. They have a sense of self-worth. That deters them from getting into drugs and doing things that could cause them to lose those livelihoods. And that's why, at all times, one of my focuses, I will think at everything as a commissioner, from how can we do what's best to create jobs and keep jobs here.
I think everybody's been very eloquent about, nobody appreciates the drug problem. There is a drug problem here, although I think it's overblown somewhat, that we have the same type of a drug problem every other community has. We have a substance abuse program that is far and above any other in the county. They come to us, and Bonnie could probably speak on this even more if she wants to, because she was in charge of that department for a while. They are seen as the leaders in this problem. And so Venango County is in the forefront of trying to correct the problem and trying to control the drug abuse. But everything everybody's saying is very correct. I mean, the economy is important. Having people have a sense of self-worth. I don't want to parrot everything everybody's said already. But the one thing that I think people miss, though, is we want to have more treatment. And although the numbers for the treatment are not maybe correct, because the department does not look at how much it costs to treat somebody. It looks at how many times they need to be treated before they can be helped with their addiction. And they're never cured. They control it, and then we follow up with them, and we continue long-term to help them with the addiction. And that's what we need to do. And we're moving forward with that, where we keep these people in service, and we continue to watch them and help them progress through their lives in a productive way and try to avoid their addiction. We can't cure them of addiction, and there's no price we put on it. And the interesting thing, too, is to do this is going to have to raise taxes, because we need more money to combat this problem. So it's great to want to do it, and I agree with that 100%, but to do that is going to cost us more money to do and to accomplish those things. And they should be. They're very worthy things that we should be attempting to do to help our citizens.
My background is substance abuse. I worked in the field for over 30 years, and I can tell you that there's way back when it was crack cocaine, then it was cocaine, then it was heroin, then it goes on and on. There's always a drug out there. It's just part of our culture. It's part of where we are. What happened in Venango County is about 25 years ago, there was money to be made. And so individuals, the drug cartel knew that. And so there was money to be made in this small community, and it was made here. And it's very difficult to rid this area of that cartel and of that drug making. I have to say that working in that field, you have a tremendous partnership in Venango County with the court system, with the judges, with the police. I know that we did Weed and Seed with Chief Winter in Oil City. It was the basis of those programs is working with the family, working at prevention with the children, working at intervention with those who may have taken a look at it, may have started, and working on treatment to those who are affected by substance abuse. The issue about substance abuse also is there's no magic wand that's going to treat it. It takes years to treat substance abuse. It affects the brain. I think that people need to understand that it affects the brain, and it's not, if someone does treatment one time, does 20 days, 21 days, whatever, they are not cured. It's a lifelong issue that has to be addressed. And believe me, Venango County has addressed it. We are on the forefront. There's so many people that are working on it at this time. But it's a very difficult issue to address. There's things that can be done, and I do believe in the dignity of work. People do need to be employed. They do need to have jobs available.
Yeah, I don't believe this is just a problem in Venango County. I believe it's definitely a national problem. I think working closely with like the new recovery place that opened up on the 3rd Ward in Franklin, Oil Region Recovery, that take in people that are addicted and help them out. I think working close with them, definitely getting people to work and having something to look forward to, having something that they can be proud of is a big thing. But it's definitely not just a county problem, it's a national problem. And it's like everyone has said, they're not completely cured. Once they're addicted, they're always addicted. It's just like an alcoholic. They take that first drink and they're back off the wagon. And we just need to help these people and try to get them to grow and have something to live for. Thanks.
Should we throw her out? John's going to take care of that. All right. Question number 5 out of 55. We talked about a lot of big issues, but is there a part of county government that you would like to receive a little more attention? And it doesn't have to be the big things we talked about, but are there other parts that maybe we missed or you'd like to see have a little bit more attention drawn to it?
I don't know as though there's anything that we haven't already touched base on that I'd like to see more brought to. My passion is business. I mean, that's my passion. That's something that I've been successful at. A lot of what I've done on my campaign trails, I'll go out to places that have just opened or their opening day. And these are all small places, they're not big businesses. And I congratulate them on their journey. And that means a lot to them. We got to remember that every business at some point started small and they worked their way up. Economic development, I would have to say, would be one of the most important things to me, because I feel that I have the ability to learn the things that the county offers and then sell them to potential people coming in, to potential people that want to come into the county or that want to relocate here with their business. So I don't think there's anything that we haven't touched base on, but that's pretty much where I think my passion is right now.
Thank you.
So there's actually a lot of little things. One, we have the most beautiful courthouse in the state of Pennsylvania. It's 150 years old last year. To understand what the maintenance budget is on our buildings that we own and we occupy, even that courthouse, they get a new tin roof or a new lead line copper roof to keep our county beautiful when you come into the county seat and see that as a focal point. Those type of issues that come up. Our 911 people, our first responders, and all the hard work that they do, those are people in the county government side that we deal with that don't get the attention that they should and don't get the credit that they should, and especially in a volunteer system that's fallen apart drastically and very quickly. And also our human services and all the services the County of Venango provides, which if you call 211 or you get on the Venango County Human Services website to see all the things that we provide our residents that help them and help them move forward. And I guess the biggest piece, which is what we're dealing with now, is a big focal point, is the jail. And I've really been pushing employers that the people we have in our jail and the stigma attached to those incarcerated aren't as bad as they think. And when you bring up a conversation with a business about someone that's incarcerated, their first thing is, no, I can't take them. Well, no, we don't have a lot of murderers. And if we do, we're not going to let them out to work at your facility. And how do we get that? And that's the one thing that I really push, is to understand that the people in there, out of the 166 that are in there, probably 40, 50 of them are the real hardcore core criminals go in the state. They're not bad people. They're just people that went down the wrong path and got caught, and that they just keep in that spiral. So those are the things that county government that are near and dear to my heart, also with agriculture. But how do we get that word out, and how do we make people feel appreciated? Our corrections officer, our 911 people, our first responders, as well as our human services people that are taking kids out of houses that they don't want to take out of. You know, it's a tough job, but they truly have a hard job that it's appreciated. It doesn't get the credit it should.
I'm generally somebody that likes to get my hands dirty, and I get really passionate about working with the people and getting kind of in the nitty-gritty on some of the local issues. I want to do that with a lot of the different boards. I will be very accessible. I'm going to make sure that I go right in and meet with the people that are on the boards for the park and the airport and everything else. But I guess broadly, it's going to go along with the theme that I've been talking about all night. And economic development and job creation is where I specifically will, that will be my main passion as far as one specific area that we can affect. How can I think I bring something unique to the table with it. I think in the last, when I was working for Congressman Mike Kelly in Congress, he was on the Ways and Means Committee, he is on the Ways and Means Committee. I was a legislative staffer for him, and a big thing that we pushed for was something called opportunity zones to be in the tax package. We have all of Oil City's downtown is an opportunity zone. Franklin has an opportunity zone. It's a great opportunity for Venango County. It truly is. Not just, a lot of people have focused only on the tax incentive part of it so far, which incentivizes businesses to be moving in and holding on to property and growing property in the areas that are designated as opportunity zones. But more importantly, there's a part of it that was just actually came out last week and has been designed. And any place with those in an opportunity zone gets, they've identified, at least just in HUD, 150 new different grants that they're going to give first priority to communities in opportunity zones to go after. So that means we have first priority, along with other opportunity zones around the country, in Oil City and in Franklin, to get these. And so what we have to do here is designate. It's under 6 areas. It goes under 6 areas of economic development, and we have to organize for those opportunities.
Thank you. Danielle's tough.
Again, I'm getting old. Can you repeat the question? I'm not sure I understand.
What part of county government would you like to, or would you like to see receive more attention? We've talked about the big items, but are there little things you would like to see?
I think what I'd like to see, and is not a little item actually, it's a big item, is more attention placed on the employees of the county. They work difficult jobs. They're in service business, and they are not paid well. They have to answer to the citizens whose money they're taking and using, and that can be difficult. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes I believe it is our job as commissioners. We are responsible for helping them, for making their lives easier for them, for providing for them so they can do their jobs. And if there's problems, it's not because something they've done, it's because something we've done. We're responsible ultimately for what happens down there at the county, at the courthouse. And I believe that our employees are not given the benefit, they're not given the due they should have. They're very important. And if we do not recognize that, we do not reward them, then we can't do anything. Any of the things up here we're talking about we want to do, we would be lost. And so that is what I think sometimes we forget. It's never mentioned in these forums. It's never mentioned when people talk about what they're going to do, what they're going to help with. But the employees of the county, I guess being there 12 years, I've become close to them. I feel like I'm one of them. I hope they accept me as that, because I try to get that across to them. But that is what I feel county commissioners should be, and I think that's something that is not talked about, and we need to talk about, and we need to make sure people understand the importance of them. And they are the people who run the county, not us. And we need to treat them with the respect they do, or due. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I have to second that. I am a former county employee, and I'm also as a manager and a county commissioner. And believe me, it is difficult serving people every day. And sometimes you do not get any credit for that. You get maybe a lot of angry individuals because you have to do your job. And sometimes that job's very difficult. And I do think that they should receive more recognition. And it's difficult, we don't have the money to award them, but you can do it in other ways, and that's through recognition and different things that you can do, different incentives. And I know that we've done that in the past, and that's what I would do for the future also. But my heart is in human services. When I was in office before, I worked with Tim and Vince as well as with the senator and representative in order to do a pilot program for the block grant for human services. What that was able to do is that we had control over that funding. We were able to bring that funding, the state, federal funding, to the county, and the county could decide what to do with it, where to put those services, where it was needed, rather than have it dictated. And that there's different things that can be done for human services, with human services. Human services affects all other departments within the county, and all the departments, it's funny, there's really not one system, one service. They all work together, whether it's the court system, whether it's the jails, whether it's economic development in the park, and so on. Am I out of time? Not yet? Okay. I would just like to say that there's so many things, they all intertwine, they're all important, and you can't address just one, you address all of them, because that's what you do as county commissioner.
I definitely have to echo the importance of employees, because being a business owner, if you don't keep your employees happy, you don't stay in business. And I know county employees are a little bit different than business employees, but that's their life. And if they're not happy, they're not going to do a good job for you. And they are very important. But I would also like to see a little bit more emphasis on 2 Mile Run Park, because I think we have a beautiful facility out there, and I don't know whether we're really utilizing what we have out there. And I would like to see a little bit more emphasis on that, see if maybe there could be some programs. I know we have some wonderful volunteers out there that clear trails so they can have, horse trail rides, and they have the skis in the wintertime. But I think there could be some more things done out at 2 Mile for the people in Venango County.
Well, it's going to sound like there's an echo chamber, because I'm going to pretty much say what they all said. It's the employees. Every 4 years we get up here and we talk about us, the commissioners. But the county employees, just like with the city employees, don't get a lot of recognition. When they're doing their job right, you're not really aware of them on a daily basis. It's only when things start to go wrong or you have an issue that you start to notice them. I've often said that the only job worse than a government employee is the lost baggage claim in the airport. So these people are really underappreciated. They get a lot of flack, as Tim has said, because they're taking the taxpayer dollars, and oftentimes it's looked at as if they're abusing it. So I think we need to give them more recognition if they can't be, taken care of through other means. And also, to Daryl's point, the county park. One of the things that's really helped our economy out has been a really good, I don't want to say a Band-Aid, but it's really kind of boosted some of the money coming in, is the tourism. The tourism has gotten huge. You look 10 years ago, there weren't people on our waterways. There weren't people using the bike trails like they are. That's kind of the big thing now. And now we've got a brewery in Franklin. We've got a brewery going into Oil City, and that draws in people. I mean, it's crazy to hear about how many people drive just for those. So I think something like 2 Mile Park, which helps in that struggle with the tourism. So.
All right, Chip, you're up. What do you see as the biggest disconnect between county government and the public? And as commissioner, how would you reconnect the people with their county government?
Well, it's different for me because I'm very public, and the biggest disconnect is public. The biggest disconnect is not being in the community. The biggest disconnect is not going to functions. The biggest disconnect is not being seen. The biggest disconnect is avoiding questions. The biggest disconnect is not being there when they need you. And it goes on and on and on. And that's one thing in my first term that I've really strived for, is to be always working for my constituents, and my tagline's always working for you. But that's it. I've learned more when I go to township meetings as opposed to waiting for a township to come to me. I learn more when I'm at a gun raffle at a fire hall on a Saturday afternoon. You hear what's going on. I learn more when I go to a Sunday dinner and sit with an elderly couple on what's going on in their life and what's happening with their children and why their children left. I learn more by sitting down and having a face-to-face conversation with somebody on their terms and in their home environment, as opposed to them coming to me. If you sit back and wait behind a desk, no one's going to come to you unless it's this far-reaching problem that you're going to have. If you get out in front, then you're going to address those issues before they ever get to be a huge problem. And I think that's personally the biggest disconnect. It's knowing what's going on. And honestly, it's something that I've done the past 4 years, is being everywhere. And being everywhere, you know what's going on. I mean, you have a pulse on the county, whether it's Emlenton, Pleasantville, Barkeyville, Clintonville, Utica, Franklin, Oil City. If you're not there, you don't know what the pulse is. You know, it's popping into the random coffee shop at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, and you hear the Liars Club. You know what's going on in the community from the Liars Club. You know, and you're not going to hear that. They're not going to call you. They're not going to talk to you. And I think that's the hugest disconnect, and that's the biggest problem I see with statewide officials, statewide elected officials. It's, we're in office, you come to us. No, we come to you. We work for you. You pay us. We use your money. And that's I think the biggest disconnect is.
I'm gonna agree with my friend Chip here. Honestly, there's the only way that I've ever been able to wrap my head around what the issues are and what we actually can solve in the time that I've been a public servant is by being back in the area. The whole reason I was brought down to work for Congressman Kelly in DC and put hundreds of thousands of miles on my car over the last 10 years was because I was constantly going back and forth, and I was brought down to be someone from Western Pennsylvania to help him represent Western Pennsylvania in Washington, DC. He knew that because I have spent the time with people and know the issues and had been in business and been working with the community, that I would know what the issues are. So I don't know any other way to actually to try and solve the problems that people are facing and to serve your county than to be out and active and being at every event and being all over the county. I mean, and being in every town. That's why I've been doing this campaign. I mean, and before that, I mean, I was in Chapmanville last weekend. I've been in Emlenton multiple times. I'm going door to door. I'm constantly talking to people and figuring out what the problems that they're facing. And I've learned a lot more at those meetings and getting to, you know, and talking face to face with people than I ever would have any other way.
I believe the disconnect is people not understanding exactly what we do, what the county government does, how we're involved in their lives, how we can help them with their lives. It is good to get out. Obviously, we all need to get out. We do work for all of you. We're your servants. You don't work for us, but we need to help people understand what happens at the county, how the county runs, and what we can do to help you. It's good to listen. Absolutely, we need to listen. We need to listen to the problems, and we need to understand the problems. Then we need to be able to explain to the people how we can help them with their problems, or steer them towards who can help them with their problems. It goes beyond listening, which I know they believe too. And that seems to be the biggest disconnect I see is over the years I've been there. People just don't fully understand what we can and cannot do, and to educate them on that would be better for all of us. It would help us to be more productive, help the community to be more productive, and to truly be serving people that way.
I would agree also that there is a disconnect in what the public thinks the commissioners do. I had received many calls from people claiming that so-and-so is doing something in this municipality, can't you do something? Well, no, that's not really what I'm here for. I cannot do anything over any municipality. But also there's a disconnect in that not only do we need to listen to people, we need to value what they say and work together on creating the solution based on everyone's input. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you represent, but you have a place at the table. We need to make that available, that there is a place for everyone who wants to have input into what's needed in the community. And then take that and put it into action. Not only do we need to listen, but we all then have to take that and act on it as a community. I think that we have a lot of opportunities here. We have a lot of good people, a lot of stakeholders who really can make things happen. And they can do that by coming to the table and then taking it out, and everyone has a place, something to play, something to work on, and to get things done. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with them. I think the biggest disconnect is people just don't understand what the county can do for them. Now, other than getting that tax bill in March or getting that jury duty certificate, they don't, they just don't know what the county can do for them. And it's up to us as public servants to go out and educate them and let them know what we can actually do for their lives. So that's very important, to be out and about and talk to people like Sam said and Chip and let them know what we're here for. We're here for them.
I think it's the breakdown of communication between the two. Like I said, some of it's a lack of understanding, but sitting on city council, I often look out at an empty audience. So a lot of times people don't come in to see us. There's, they don't understand what we're doing as a city government, and just like they said, they don't understand what we're doing as commissioners. It's also about being out in the public, though, because with my job at the chamber, I'm constantly out at different things, going to different events, volunteering with different local nonprofits, organizations, and such. And that is where I learn the majority of what what I know, what's going on in the community. I don't get it from emails coming in from somebody. It's being out, it's being seen, it's letting these people know who I am, letting them know that they can stop me if they see me walking down the street and pick my brain or talk my ear off. I'm willing, I'm open, and that's what I think is important for people to know, that I'm going to be available all the time for you. I'll have an open door policy. So.
I do believe that it's a little bit of each. When I announced my candidacy, I had a lot of people ask me, what's a county commissioner? What's a county commissioner do? So, I had to explain to them, and I also put it on my campaign page, the definition of what the county commissioner actually can do and can't do. But I look at it this way: it's why do you do repeat business at a place? It's customer service. It's about how you present yourself to your customers. So, like Chip said, being out and about. I've gone to a lot of events like the rest of these fellow candidates have done, and you get to talk to a lot of people. A lot of people want to stop you and ask you different questions. So I do think there is a bridge that needs to be gapped between making them, or not making them, but help them understand what a commissioner does and what the programs are that can help benefit them, and also the part of is just being out and being a part of the county. Like I said, when I went out to some of these businesses that were opened up, I mean, it was just kind of took them back a couple steps. Someone that's running for county commissioner, why are they stopping in this little boutique to say, congratulations on opening up your new boutique and good luck? I mean, it's about being part of the county in each part of the county, not just central to where you're located at.
Last question, unless you want to go for a few more hours.
I'm good.
Sure, okay. Sam, you're up. We'll end on this has been overall very positive, but we want a fun, positive question to end on here. What is Venango County's greatest asset, and how would you enhance it?
Oh, that's hard. I love Venango County. There's a reason why why I want to serve it. Why I spent, the last 10 years of my career serving the region of Western Pennsylvania, but specifically always wanted to be here and focus my energy here. I think it's a wonderful place to live. It has so many of the things that you can't get in a city, but you have access to a city. I mean, when I'm down in D.C., it's going to take me 3.5 hours to get to a river that I can float down, and it's going to cost me $40 to rent the raft to float down. I'm going to be with a bunch of smelly people in a bus to get there. So here, I can go do that. I can enjoy golf on an uncrowded course. I can go on an ATV and rip around and have a great time. I can do all those things. And if I want to get a great dinner, I can go, well, to Yellow Dog over here. I can go into Franklin. And if I want a little city time, I can go down and get there without any traffic to Pittsburgh. It's a great place, and it offers a ton that a lot of young people want and that families want. That's why there's so many families, like I said, younger families that I know where they drive to Pittsburgh to work, but come back here to live. I want to make it so they don't have to drive that far to work. I want to make sure that our county has, that's how we can enhance it. By making sure, but the things that we have to live here, we just need to make sure that people can also work here. So that's my focus.
I came here 25 years ago, so I'm an outsider. I can tell you, from an outsider's perspective, the most valuable thing here is the people. I've met so many I met my wife here. My kids are from here now, I guess because they were born here. Some of the greatest people I know. And the people are very important. They are the asset that we have here, and we have to create the atmosphere. We have to create the opportunities for them to live here, to thrive here, to be successful here. I was able to be successful here beyond anything I thought was possible, and it's been a great thing for me. And that's why I'm doing what I do. People always ask, they think I have an ulterior motive. I want to give back. What I was able to accomplish here and what I was given because of the people here and how wonderful they are, I couldn't have gotten anywhere else. So I believe that people are the biggest asset, probably one of the biggest secrets of Venango County. And I want to continue to serve to help to make the situation where you can all thrive. Your kids can stay here. Your kids can come back here. Your grandchildren can grow here and be here with you. And we can all do better. And we do. The potential that we have is beyond belief here. And I really believe that truly. And I want to help to make that occur.
I love Venango County. I can't get over when I go down Route 8 and see the river, the hills, and the fog coming on the hill. It's just beautiful. I love the people. That's, as Tim said, it's the most rewarding asset that we have are the people of Venango County, because there's a underlying trust and value system that we have here that creates a real community spirit. It's a can-do type of community. We can do it. We have done it. This is Venango County. This is a birthplace of oil. There's things that can be done here, and there's things that we have done here. There's a lot to do. There are problems, but we can solve them. There's no way that we can't solve them. We can get it done, and we will get it done. That's why I want to serve the community, is because I enjoy working with the people. What I enjoy most is that I can get on the phone and I can talk to anybody across any of the systems, any of the businesses, and ask them how we can work together or what the problem is, and ask them if they could help in the solution. I've done it before in the past, and it's just a tremendous way that we work together. We know each other. We can go to the stores and see each other, in the churches, and it's just such a sense of community that it's known here that it's not known anyplace else. That's what I love about Venango County.
Venango County is such a beautiful place. I mean, we got a beautiful courthouse, a 2-mile run park, the bike trails. My wife and I use the bike trails quite often. And the one day we met up with a couple from Pittsburgh, and they said, "You guys are so fortunate to have this so close. We have to drive clear from Pittsburgh to use a bike trail like this." And it's, I mean, you always see wildlife down there. It is a wonderful thing, but I have to go along with the people. Being in business, I deal with a lot of people. 99% of them are wonderful. I mean, you're going to have your 1% that, but 99% of them are just, they're there to help you. They're wonderful people. You feel love for them. I work hard to get their trust, and I feel that the people of Venango County are just wonderful people.
So I moved away right after college, and I came back. I often refer to myself as a boomerang child. I left and came back. While I was gone, I enjoyed where I was. You know, I got involved in the community, but it never felt like home. There was something about Venango County that just kind of drew me back. You know, I didn't want to stay away. It's the culture, it's the history, it's the assets like the bike trail, the county park. It's all of that stuff. It's a combination of everything. We have a lot to offer here. There are job vacancies, you know, so the cost of living is so low here. I mean, I'm paying significantly less living down here in Franklin than I was up in Erie. So we have a lot of opportunities for people that are willing to take that chance to make something of themselves. One of the things about this community, just in the county in general, is if you're willing to take care of it, they're willing to take care of you, and they'll watch out for you. So I think that's kind of our biggest.
You know, I've lived up here for 17 and a half years, come from Clarion County, but my wife and I have been together since she was 16, so that's almost 25 years ago. So I started making friendships in Venango County 25 years ago because she graduated from Cranberry High School. And over the time that I've been here, the friendships and the people that I've met is like no other. The personalities, the genuineness, they're just amazing people. Different organizations I've been a part of, from churches to fire departments, coach and ball, whatever it was. Years later, after not involved in those anymore, those friendships still last. You know, you get out there and you run into them, and it's like you never stop talking to them. And I'm sure they have that in other areas, but it just seems like this area is so much different. And it does have a lot to offer, from the tourism to family just jumping down and kayaking down the river. I mean, I grew up in a little town outside of Tynesta, so we didn't have a river real close, and the closest pond was Lake Lucy. I mean, there wasn't a lot going on down there, but up here there's a lot to offer. There's a nice place to go fishing. I take my son out fishing, we go hunting. So I mean, I think in all that what we have to offer is the people, and also is the relationships and the wildlife that we have around here. And to touch on 2 Mile, I think 2 Mile could be a great asset here in Venango County.
So I moved home about 8 to 10 years ago, and the one thing that really drove me was everyone kept saying, "What are you doing here? You're from God's country. We go up there every weekend or every other weekend. You're from God's country." And then to get away and come back makes you realize what you have here and what you have at home. So when I moved home 8, 10 years ago, mostly for my family, to be around them more, and the opportunities here exist no different than they do in a major city, except instead of having a 12-hour day to get paid for 8 hours, it's a 15-minute drive to work and 15 minutes home. And if you want lunch, you can go home real quick. But that's one part of it. And we're also, I tell everyone, we're an hour from the world. We're an hour from Pittsburgh. We're an hour from Erie. We're also an hour from Clarion, and an hour from Warren, and an hour from Mercer, and an hour from Butler. So everything's an hour drive, which I live 8 miles from downtown Pittsburgh, and I had an hour-and-a-half drive.
Yes.
So it's a whole different ballgame, but if you look at logistics and infrastructure, we're really not that far from the world. And it's a great opportunity with our rivers and streams, but the other biggest piece is we're a family, and that's what drove me home, because our family business, the golf course, raised me, and the county raised me, but I don't have many friends, but I have a huge family, and it's widespread across the county. And those people, even when you meet people that aren't from here, and they say, hey, I met so-and-so, he was talking about you, or I met so-and-so and they told me to go here. Everyone is so welcoming, so vibrant, so bright. It's rewarding. When you run into a guy from Ohio trout fishing and you say something, because I make sure I come every year and I go here, here, here. The people are wonderful. We don't have this at home. You know, it's the culture we have, and we have a diverse cultural background of Venango County that you can see as one huge community, but also one huge family that makes you feel welcome when you come here. And you know, look, Apple Fest, Oil Heritage, they grow so big because we're so welcoming. And come check it out. I mean, it's an amazing culture we live that you don't have elsewhere.
All right, closing remarks. We're going to throw everybody off. We're going to start Michael, and we'll go this way.
Well, I want to thank you again for having us here. Thank you guys for sitting through this. You got to hear from us here some of our plans for the county. I feel I'm best suited for the job because I live this every day. It's what I do for a living. I'm constantly working with the local businesses. I'm constantly trying to get other businesses to come in. I work with the elected officials. I am an elected official. So I have the experience running a government. I know what it's like to look at budgets and have to toss up between balancing it versus raising taxes and all that stuff. So I think I offer a unique perspective to kind of blend those two worlds together. So I would ask for your vote this May 21st on the Republican ticket. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you again for having us here tonight. 4 weeks from today, we go to the polls to elect 2 commissioners on each side. I think we need to think hard about the decision you're going to have to make. I think we need commissioners that are willing to put full-time work in. I think we need to elect commissioners that definitely will work together to try to help the county. And I think we need elect commissioners that will be here for you. I'm a businessman. I've been in the business for 37 years. I've worked hard to get the trust of my customers to let me go into their house most of the time when they're not even there. And I'll work hard for you if you give me that opportunity. Thank you.
I have an investment in Venango County. I have my children and my grandchildren live here. And I want to make sure that Venango County is going in the right direction so that it is successful and can provide the opportunities that we need for our children and for our grandchildren to grow and become successful here in the community. Most of my life has been involved in working for Venango County. I've gone to pretty much every area of the county and worked together on some facet, whether it's human services, whether it was government related, whatever, so that I pretty much know the county. And I really believe, I pride myself on when I do a job, I make sure that I work on that job, that I get the job done. I do not plan on holding the office. I plan on working in the office. That's what I did before, and that's what I plan on doing again. I'm here to work for the community. I'm here to serve the people. I want to make sure that Venango County is successful. I've worked as a team. That's probably one of my strong points, is that I love working together. I work together with people because that's the only way that we can get things done, is to work together. One of the other things that I think is very important is that we have a diversity of ideas that come to the table. I know that my background is human services. I'm probably the only one here that has a human service background. The biggest part of the budget is human services, so I can bring that to the table. But we also need diversity from other individuals to make sure that we all work together and have different ideas and go forward with those ideas. It's a good way to make sure that things happen when you have different points of view and can go work on goals that way. Thank you.
I thank everybody for being here this evening and sitting and listening to us. People at home watching and those people who watch it later on the internet. Appreciate that. It's important. What's important is getting out to vote, making sure your friends, your family get out to vote. It takes a lot to be up here for these people to be here. You are always second guessed. People never believe what you're doing is for the right reasons. There's always someone who's going to be against you. And it takes a lot to be able to put up with that. And you know, I have to thank all these gentlemen and Bonnie for being here and be willing to put themselves out there to want to help with the people in the county is very important. And to honor that, to honor the people of the county who work so hard to put on the elections and all it cost us to put on the elections, it's important that everybody gets out to vote. We get elected by 25% of the electorate usually, and that's somewhat shameful that Chip and I and Vince can sit here and say that less than 25% of the people in this county who could vote voted for us, and we're in office because of that. And you need to, it's important, and I say this all the time and people probably get sick of hearing it, but please just get out and vote. Vote for me, vote for whoever you think is best. It's great to be informed, and you need to get out and get your friends and neighbors get out to vote to make this truly an election where the people pick the people who they want to lead the county over the next 4 years and help them. So, thank you.
I want to thank everyone again, thank everyone up here on stage who's putting themselves out there, and I can tell that we have a lot of people here that everyone up here cares deeply about this community, cares deeply about the future of this county, and I think we all bring something different to the table. And I think there are different skill sets for different times, and right now I do feel like I've worked to elect conservatives to office for years. I'm pro-life, I'm a life member of the NRA. And I've always wanted to make sure that the right people are elected into office, and I've never thought about doing it myself unless I thought that I was the right person for the job this time. I'd gladly help someone else that I thought would do a better job than I would get elected, but I felt the time was now. We have, my passion for this area runs deep. My roots run deep here, and I'll never forget when I was in 4th grade at St. Stephen's and Quaker State headquarters left town. It was not the first and not the last of many jobs and many big businesses that left this area. And I'll never forget the next year that my class size was reduced by about 25%. Those were friends, those were families that I loved and that I had built a young relationship with. And from that point on, I did say I was going to do something. It was my passion to do something when I grew up about that. That'll be driving me, those memories and that vision and that purpose will be driving me every day if I have the honor and privilege of having your vote on May 21st. So with that, I ask your permission to lead this county as a commissioner. My name is Sam Breen. I'm number 4 on the Republican ballot. Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us tonight. I wish we did this more often. This is great. Thank you. Give me a call. I'll be up. Also, thank everyone watching as well as everyone here today. It's a great opportunity to hear what each and every one of us have to say. It's a great lineup this year, and 3 out of everyone sitting here will be potentially in office next year. So you're listening and you're hearing straight out of the horse's mouth on what's going to happen and what our ideas are. But I enjoy serving the county of Venango. I enjoy serving its people. I enjoy serving with the people I serve with. Even though we have our difficulties, sometimes that's not a bad thing. It keeps us accountable at the end of the day. So as we move forward, I tell people I'm always working for you, but that work's not over. That work is just beginning to pick up even faster. Different issues arise every week, every day, every moment, whether it's the dairy crisis hitting Venango County, whether it's the overpopulation of the jail, whether it's the opioid crisis. There's always something different, and there's always something to be moving Venango County forward and not keep looking behind on the negative past, but a positive, great future that we have. And we're right on that tipping point. And I keep hammering on Allegheny County and South, but it's moved to Grove City. We're right there. What do we do to pull it closer? And it's getting in those conversations. I mean, I'm very fortunate to serve on the County Commissioners Association's Board of Directors as a Venango County Commissioner. It's a wonderful opportunity to sit around a table with 20 commissioners from across Pennsylvania and what their ideas are to lead counties, all 67 of us, forward through legislative actions or what are addressing us locally. And I love what I do, and I couldn't be more genuine personally in saying that. It's half the nights I don't sleep because I'm trying to figure out what next to do, and Tim knows I come in every other day probably with the wild idea. But those ideas move us forward. I mean, those ideas, good, bad, or indifferent, you have to have. If you're just stagnant, nothing changes. So remember Chip Abramovic on May 21st, because I'm here to work for you, and I love working for you.
You know, Tim does speak a lot of truth about the percentage of voters come out. As a state constable for the last 7 years, I've sat at the polls, and out of my precinct, about 33 to 34% of registered voters come out to vote, and that is pretty sad. You know, you shouldn't vote for someone because so-and-so said that you should. You should vote for someone because you took the time to get to know them, to you know, listen to what their platform is, to see what drives them, their passions, and that you feel that they're the right person for the job. You know, I do want to thank you guys for putting this on. It's nice to have a local TV station that's very involved in the community, and we thank you for that, and thank you people for being here tonight. I'm a hard worker. You know, I'm not afraid to work. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I've been a leader. I've been a follower. I've been a team player, sitting on the bench with everyone else. So I have experience in everything or most things that the commissioners do but at a lower level or a smaller level. You know, I've budgeted, I've forecasted, I've hired, I've fired, I've managed. So I mean, there's different aspects that I've had to go through as a business owner, and you know, we've been successful at what we do. So remember Joe Corelli on May 21st. I'll be the first name on the ballot for Republican. Thank you.
We want to thank all the candidates for being here tonight. We're going to run this probably about 500 times between now and the primary. And when you add up that airtime, the political cost, you guys owe us a couple $1 million. We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out later. So we want to thank you guys for your time tonight. We greatly appreciate it. We want to thank the audience here in our studio. We want to thank the audience at home. We also have some other thank yous. Big thanks to John Klook, who spent a week prepping the food back there, so please stay and get something to eat. Martha Breen, thank you so much for your help. Again, the candidates, we want to thank Trenton Mullen for the chairs from the Transit Building and Bridge Builders. I want to thank producer Adam Bodemer, stream sales reps Carol Johnson and Nathan Rogan Camp. So big thanks to them. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night. Get out and vote in 4 weeks. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thanks.
The Venango County Commissioner Forum on Stream Television has been made possible by the Franklin Oil Region Federal Credit Union, celebrating 45 years of serving our community. By Liberty Electronics, wired for your success. By Anderson Physical Therapy, stay on top of your game. By the Cranberry Mall. By Rick Bowler and Allstate Insurance. And by Claypack Auto Body, known for invisible repairs.